Let us shift our gaze upwards tonight and walk among the stars. We'll join Maja and Adam on their hike through the French Alps, where they will reach a charming chalet and at night observe the stars, planets, and constellations. Let us begin. Maja leaned her forearms against the roughly cut wooden fence at the edge of the viewing platform. From here, the view over the French Alps was magnificent. Before her vacation, and without giving it much thought, Maja had actually expected to find all snow-covered peaks and grey mountain cliffs, but the landscape of this national park rather resembled the Shire from Lord of the Rings, only hillier. The park's name was Parc National des Écrins. Do you have any water left? Mine won't last until we get to the chalet, I'm afraid, Adam said as he put his water bottle back into his hiking backpack. Don't worry, I have plenty, Maja replied. Adam was her older brother. When he asked her to join his short trip, she hadn't hesitated for a second. Normally, she was the one who would be initiating contact, but not this time. This time, it was Adam who had called her. He had been working day and night as a lawyer for a big firm in London, and Maja could see that he needed some time off after so many years in the business world. It was time for him to recharge his batteries. A few weeks earlier, he had found a hiking guidebook online and fell in love with an alpine hut, a chalet, called Le Pas du Loup. He contacted the owners immediately, and they had arranged an overnight stay there. Now, here they were, hiking to the chalet in the late afternoon. The landscape was enchanting. Maja could feel the calmness spreading through her body like warm honey. What she loved most was how the sun shone on the green meadows, making them look even more magical than usual. The mountains were overgrown with small groups of trees and dark bushes, while the valleys between the summits were filled with fields and small villages. It was so different from the city life she was used to, but Maja felt right at home. So, is it everything you'd hoped for? I know you were excited to come here. Maja looked at Adam with a smile. Adam took off his head and wiped his brow. Oh, it's stunning out here. Seeing pictures online doesn't do it justice. I haven't felt so peaceful in a long time. Maja nodded. I know what you mean. I've never been here before either, but it feels familiar somehow. Like coming home. They both stared at the expansive panorama, drinking in the beauty. Maja's eyes followed the contours of the mountain ridges, where the shadows of the clouds cast a soft light on the slopes. In the distance, the silhouette of the peak known as Pointe de la Glière stood proudly, majestically dominating the landscape. The air was clear and cool, and the sound of birds singing echoed through the valley. The scent of pine needles filled the air, and Maja breathed it in deeply. She knew she'd be able to smell this fragrance forever. Adam stretched out his legs and sighed. We're almost there. We should be able to reach the chalet in another hour or two. Maja smiled. You said that they have an observatory there. Adam nodded. Yes, a telescope you can use to watch the stars. They even have a hydraulic roof that can be opened up so that you can take a closer look at the constellations. That sounds crazy, Maja exclaimed. I know, Adam laughed. If you stand on the terrace during the evening, you can see the whole starry sky. Speaking of the evening, Maja glanced at her watch. It's almost 6 o'clock. We need to make sure we get to the chalet before dark. Otherwise, we'll be sleeping in the open. Adam chuckled. Can't let that happen. Let's get going then. Maja grabbed her backpack and pulled it onto her shoulders. She took a deep breath, inhaling the fresh mountain air, and set down the trail. As they walked, Maja kept glancing at her brother. Adam was tall, slim, and handsome. He was wearing jeans and a t-shirt, which showed off his athletic physique. He had always been the more outgoing sibling. Even when they were children, Maja had often wondered whether Adam would grow up to become a professional football player. Now he was a lawyer in London, and he seemed to have settled down quite well. He still had the same sense of humor, though. Maja smiled as she remembered how, whenever something annoyed her, she would pretend to throw a tantrum. Then he would run around the room and start shouting, "Maja's angry," which always made her laugh. Ahead of her, Adam stopped walking. Maja turned around and saw that he was staring at something. She followed his gaze and gasped, "What is this?" "Look," Adam pointed. Maja stepped closer. There was a herd of wild goats, about 20 of them, grazing peacefully in the field. She watched them for a moment, and then she noticed something else. "Is that a castle?" she asked. Adam squinted. Yes, I think so. But let me check." He rummaged a foldable hiking map out of his backpack and flipped it open. After a few seconds, he had found their current location and now tapped on the paper. Ah, yes, it's the Chateau de la Chaise. Maybe we can check it out tomorrow. I'd love to. It reminds me of Beauty and the Beast. Maybe we'll find a magic rose garden somewhere, Adam joked. Maja shook her head. No, I'm not really interested in finding roses. Not unless they're growing inside a wine barrel. Adam laughed. Well, we can't have everything, but if you want to meet a beast, we might find one of those. Maja giggled. I'm in, as long as it turns into a dashing prince. They continued walking, following the path towards the chalet. Soon, a few houses came into sight aside the long, winded, curvy road. They were nestled among the mountains. Maja caught sight of a small church spire in the distance. According According to their map, it belonged to the Chapelle Saint-Hippolyte. The sun had disappeared behind the horizon, and the landscape was bathed in golden light. It was getting darker, and Maja could see that the path ahead of them was illuminated by lanterns. Le pas de loup, the wolf's step, Adam said. That's what they call the chalet. Maja nodded. I wonder why. I read about it once. Apparently the name comes from the legend about a wolf who lived in those mountains. And it says that every time the wolf jumped on the rocks, he would leave a mark in the shape of a paw print. Maja raised an eyebrow. Sounds interesting. Yeah, I think it's a pretty good reason. Why are you looking at me like that? Maja shrugged. Nothing. Just can't imagine you reading anything other than lore books. Adam rolled his eyes. Of course not. That's why I'm taking a break. Maja grinned. I didn't say anything. Finally, the chalet came into view. It was constructed entirely from wood, with sizable windows and a charming terrace. Solar panels lined the roof, and a few lights were glowing in the windows. I hope they have hot chocolates, Adam said. What's that in French again? Chocolat chaud, Maja replied. If they serve it, go ahead and order too. Evening fell, and the temperature dropped considerably. The chalet was embedded in the mountainside, surrounded by trees and covered in flowers. There was a swing hanging from a tree, and a wooden table and chair outside. Maja stopped her steps on the gravelly road in front of Le Pas de Loup and gazed at the twinkling stars above. She could hear the gentle sound of wind blowing through the leaves, and she felt the warmth of the spring breeze. Maja closed her eyes and listened to the chirping of crickets. I feel like I'm on top of the world, she whispered. Behind her, she heard her brother opening the entrance door. Shall we? She turned around and nodded. She could already tell that this place would nurture her soul. The friendly owner of Le Pas de Loup welcomed them warmly and cordially. He introduced himself as Jean-Luc. He was dressed in a red checkered shirt and blue denim pants. His accent was thick, which took Maja a few seconds to understand. Jean-Luc asked Maja and Adam to take a seat on the couches in the salon while he checked on their room. The interior was rustic but welcoming. A fire crackled cheerfully in an oven, filling the house with a pleasant warmth. The walls were decorated with paintings and sketches, and a large window offered a view of the surrounding landscape. Next to the couches stood a large wooden coffee table, laden with magazines, and a bookshelf carrying various books and board games. Adam took off his jacket and let himself drop onto the nearest couch. He stretched out his arms and laid his head back into the pillows. I'm going to sleep like a baby tonight. Maja sat down next to him and placed her hand on his shoulder. Are you really that exhausted after the hike? Yes, I am. Adam yawned. Haven't had time for exercise since I started trying to become partner at my firm. My schedule has been insane. Maja frowned. Then let's savor this trip to its fullest. Of course. For the first time, I feel the good type of exhaustion. It's not the kind of tiredness that makes you lose your focus. It's the kind that makes you relax completely. Jean-Luc entered the room, in one hand carrying a steaming teapot, in the other hand carefully balancing 2 cups stacked atop each other. He smiled at Maja and Adam as he placed it all on the table. My wife has organized some British tea after you made the reservation on the phone. I hope you enjoy it. Maja smiled. Thank you. We appreciate it. Jean-Luc now handed each of them a sheet of paper containing the dinner menu and left the room. Adam poured the tea, and Maja blew across the surface of hers. It's not hot chocolate, but it's considerate and a sweet gesture. Maja sipped the tea. It was rich and fragrant, with a subtle hint of mint. Adam smacked his lips. I'm chuffed to bits. Maja laughed. I'm glad you approve. Oh, I do. This is perfect. The tea was delicious, and Maja felt herself relaxing. She studied the menu, which contained the following: pork cutlets with apple sauce, vegetable soup with croutons, cream of mushroom soup, sautéed salmon with mustard sauce, rice pudding with raisins and almonds, and strawberry mousse. Maja figured, since her stomach rumbled the most when thinking of the pork cutlet, that she would go with that. Adam went for the cream of mushroom soup, and they ordered 1 bowl of strawberry mousse to share between them. While waiting for the food to arrive, they browsed the bookshelves. There were lots of English language novels, including some classics. They discovered a sizable collection of volumes written in French, German, and Italian. Maja picked up a copy of Les Miserables. You know, I haven't read this one yet. What do you think? Looks great, Adam said. Think it's time I give Victor Hugo a try. I've seen the film, though. Me too, Maja agreed. But I never got around to reading the novel. Maybe this is the right time. After a few seconds, she pushed the book back into its shelf. No, who am I kidding? The window beside them presented a view of a moon that shone brightly, casting a silver glow over the landscape. Copious stars already dotted the sky. A promising night for stargazing in the observatory. Do you know how to use a telescope? Maja asked. Adam chuckled. No, but I'm sure it's easy enough. Else we'll just ask Jean-Luc for help. A couple more minutes passed before Adam challenged Maja to a game of Spit, a card game they had played many times during their childhood. It was about placing down whatever cards you can at whatever time. Back then, when they were children, It got chaotic quickly. It was part of the fun. Maja and Adam were able to control themselves better now, but they weren't playing for the sake of the game, but for the sake of their memories. Soon, Jean-Luc returned with a tray which held 3 plates filled with food. Maja and Adam helped themselves to the dishes. Bon appétit, Jean-Luc said. Enjoy your meal. The food was scrumptious. You could tell the ingredients were locally sourced, organic, and of high quality. Maja enjoyed the meaty flavor of the pork cutlet and the creamy texture of the mushroom soup. As dessert, Maja and Adam shared the wolf-shaped strawberry mousse, which was topped with crushed pistachios and served with a side of whipped cream. They carefully divided the delicacy so as to make sure nobody received more than 50% of it, as their mother had always instructed them to do when they were kids. After a while, Maja felt full, so she ended up conceding a sizable portion of her mousse to Adam anyway, but it was the principle that mattered. When they were done eating, Maja leaned back in her chair and sighed. Food was so good. As for what to do next, I will refuse to do literally anything other than taking a bath. With a deliberately slow, satisfied nod, Adam agreed. Let's check out the rooms then. I think I'll go for a shower after your bath. Good idea, Maja said, stretching her arms. Though you should go first. I think I'll take my time in the tub. The siblings approached Jean-Luc, who asked them how they liked the food. A conversation which then transitioned into a longer chat about living in the mountainside, hiking trips, local sights, and the surrounding area. Finally, Jean-Luc handed them their key. He had already carried their backpacks upstairs. So there is another couple staying the whole week? Oh, no, we're not a couple. We're brother and sister, Maja explained. Ah, of course. My apologies. Do you need anything else? I'll be downstairs if you need anything. Maja shook her head. No thanks, we're fine now. The room on the first floor was labeled by a proud wood sign in which was in hand engraved its name, La tête dans les étoiles, the head in the stars. Maja opened the door and stepped inside. The room was spacious and clean. 2 objects in this chamber were particularly prominent: the round bed and the telescope. The bed was covered in soft, colorful blankets. In the corner stood a chest of drawers, which was adorned with a vase of flowers. The furniture was made of solid wood, and the floor was tiled elegantly. The telescope stood in the middle of the room, pointing towards the ceiling and evidently not being close to the window. This led Maja to notice the encased electrical wiring and hydraulic cylinders along the ceiling. On a counter near her, she spotted the remote control, and on the press of a button, the roof began to retract slowly with a hum, revealing the starry sky above. Wow, Adam commented simply. Well, I'm going to let you have fun with that and go for a quick shower. Maja inspected the telescope closely to figure out how to use it. She found some rotating discs, which she assumed would adjust the angle of the scope. She turned one of them and noticed that it rotated smoothly. She tried moving the telescope to find the best angle to observe the stars, but it wouldn't budge. She then noticed a lever on the side of the telescope. She pushed it, and the scope began to move. Lastly, she elongated the legs of the telescope's tripod so that she could comfortably stand upright while observing. There was also a protective cap on the front lens that had to be taken off. The first look through the lens instantly captured Maja. A gasp escaped her when the twinkly lights of the stars revealed themselves to her eyes, so close she felt like she could reach them. She stared at the bright white light of the moon and the tiny dots of light that surrounded it. Maja marveled at the vast number of stars and the fact that they seemed to form hazy bands and mystical patterns. Without guidance, she wouldn't be able to identify them, however. She would instead wait until later in the evening, when Adam and her would together move to the observatory. After Adam was done with his shower, Maja turned on the faucet to let in a hot, steaming stream of water. The bathroom was decorated in earthy tones, with dark wooden furnishings and a large mirror on the wall. Maja ran her fingers through her hair, feeling the soft curls bounce back. On the shelf, she found a set of fresh towels and a toothbrush. She also noticed a small wooden box, which had been placed on top of a cabinet. Upon opening it, she found an assortment of various bath oils and essences, including lavender oil and peppermint oil. Maja decided to pick the lavender scent and took off her clothes. As she sank into the warm water, she closed her eyes and let the steam envelop her. Her body relaxed instantaneously, and the toll of today's hike on her body vanished gradually. She breathed deeply, letting the tension leave her shoulders. She reached out for the bar of soap, lathered it, and massaged it into her skin. The heat from the water made her skin tingle, and she felt the muscles on her back loosen up. The lavender scent permeated the air and calmed her nerves. She let her mind drift away to a pleasant place where the only thing that existed was the sound of the rushing water and the sensation of the soap against her skin. Maja emerged from the bathroom fully dressed in casual clothes. Before he had left, Adam had covered the roof again. It must have gotten chilly for him. Out of her backpack, she grabbed her sketchbook and leather pencil case and headed for the terrace. There she sat down on a wicker chair, which offered her a beautiful view of the valley below. The air smelled of fresh herbs and flowers. The scent of the night air filled her lungs. In the distance, you could hear the sounds of insects chirping and a faint buzzing. Maja opened her sketchbook, took out a pencil, and traced a few lines in her notebook. more than a hobby for teenage Maja. She had started drawing when she was 8 years old. By 10, she had mastered the basics of shading and perspective, and her drawings looked professional. Maja's talent had become apparent to her parents, who encouraged her to pursue art as a career. She had been lucky that Adams and her parents were supportive of her interest, and they had given her the opportunity to attend art school. Maja had studied in Paris under a famous artist and had even spent 2 months in Florence, Italy. She had taken her passion for art seriously and was determined to achieve success in the field. In recent years, she had devoted much of her time to sketching the beauty of nature. Maja's favorite subjects included forests, rivers, mountains, and the sea. She often drew pictures of the people she met on her travels. Earning money from her artwork was not the easiest thing to accomplish, but she was comfortable enough. She was also confident that she would gradually find her niche and her unique talent within the art world. Today, Maja wanted to capture the beauty of the night sky. She pulled out her pencil and began to shade the outline of the mountain range which lay in front of her. The graphite glided smoothly across the paper, forming a delicate line. With each stroke, Maja more and more appreciated the beauty of the scene. The trees swayed gently in the breeze, and the grass rustled softly. The clouds drifted lazily in the sky. The moonlight illuminated the peaks of the mountains, giving them a magical aura. Maja was entranced by the scene and tried her best to transport this moment into her canvas. One thing she learned in art school was not to focus on what you can show to the viewer of the drawing, but to focus on how you can change them, how you can touch their soul. So she didn't try to capture every single object she could spot. Instead, Maja wanted to convey the serenity of the night sky, the calmness of the flora, and the tranquility of the mountain range in her strokes. Lastly, she wanted the night sky to come alive in her illustration. The ethereal dance of the celestial bodies, the gentle fluttering of the clouds, the swirling patterns of the stars, all these details gave life to her work. After about an hour, Maja beheld her completed artwork. She gazed at it, pleased with the result. This drawing had a good chance to become one of her favorites. As she re-entered the chalet, she noticed Adam sitting in the salon, talking to a middle-aged couple. They were laughing heartily. Maja guessed that they must be the other couple Jean-Luc had talked about. Maja walked over to them and greeted them. Adam introduced her to the couple as his sister, and they exchanged greetings. The man had gray hair and a friendly face. His wife had brown hair and wore glasses. They came from Austria, and their names were Peter and Monika. Their only child had just finished school and was starting university. They had come to the chalet for a holiday. They had already had a great time, and Maja felt that she should join the conversation. The couple were fascinated by Maja's artwork. They asked many questions about it, and she answered them patiently. The two also proved to be interesting conversationalists. They told stories about their family and spoke about the city of Salzburg. Their most delightful story revolved around a local legend in Salzburg, the legend of the bull washers. Salzburg was under siege as early as the 16th century, when peasant revolts occurred. But when Salzburg's thick walls successfully fended off their first attack, the attackers had come up with a plan B. They decided to starve the population of Salzburg. To this end, they completely surrounded the city and cut it off from the outside world. No one was able to escape. But more importantly, food stopped coming into the cities. The garrison commander responded immediately, ordering strict food rationing. However, the siege remained, and soon the food store was empty. The castle had to be slaughtered for food, all except for one last bull. It was truly a magnificent creature, well fed, strong, mottled with brown and white spots, but there was only one left. It was at this moment that the commander came up with a clever trick. At dawn, a group of besieged citizens coaxed bulls onto the city walls, then guided them back and forth in front of the enemy. The same ritual was repeated the next day. However, the people of Salzburg toiled at night, painting the same bull white. The impression to the besiegers was that there was still plenty of food behind the walls. The Salzburgers used the same deception again. Only this time the bull traversing the walls was pitch black. This pretty much popped the peasant bubble. Assuming they would never starve the town, they decided to pack up and go home. Of course, the Salzburgers cheered, celebrating their victory and their heroic bull, who was scrubbed clean after the successful end of the masked ball until the original brown and white spots were seen again. That's why people in Salzburg are still called bull washers today. While this story had been told, the four of them had moved to the observatory together. It was similar to a reclused balcony with a waist-high stone railings surrounding it. In the center, there stood a grand top-shelf telescope on a tripod. Whew, we'll be able to look tens or even millions of light years far with this thing, said Adam proudly. Peter and Monika left Maja and Adam to explore the sky alone, as they had already used the telescope the last 2 nights, and wished them a pleasant evening. Adam opened the telescope's hatch, revealing the eyepiece. He adjusted the telescope and aimed it at the horizon. He focused on a distant point and zoomed in. Maja watched eagerly as the image grew larger and clearer. The resolution of this telescope was amazing and much higher than the one in La Tête dans les Étoiles bedroom. The images appeared crisp and sharp. Maja couldn't believe how far she could see. She gazed at the moon and gasped in wonderment. Its craters were clearly visible, and she could make out its surface. Adam and her took turns using the telescope, While Maja admired the moon, Adam gazed at the other planets in the solar system. At one point, Adam went inside and returned a few minutes later with a book in his hand. He fetched it from the bookshelf in the salon, and it contained everything you needed to know about star constellations and astronomy in general. Maja had no idea that there were so many different stars and constellations. The book described them in detail. With the help of this book, they explored the heavens, identifying stars and constellations. They learned that the Milky Way is a band of stars that stretches across the entire sky. Each star in the Milky Way is a sun, a giant ball of gas. These suns circle around the galactic center, which itself orbited around the core of the galaxy. The universe is full of galaxies, some large, some small. One of the nearest is Andromeda, which is located 2.5 million light years away from Earth. The universe is vast. Just thinking of the sheer scale is staggering, remarked Maja. Yes, it really is, agreed Adam. I find that personally liberating. Everything you're worried about is just so much smaller than everything that's out there. So you mean that the universe is so massive that we don't have to worry about anything? Asked Maja. Yes, exactly, replied Adam. Maja started laughing. What's so funny? Asked Adam. Nothing. I'm just imagining your next client asking you for legal advice and you telling them to instead first gaze at the night sky and realize how insignificant their problem is compared to the universe. You know, I've thought about doing something like this with one client or another, growled Adam with gritted teeth, but with a smile. Maja laughed even harder. In the cool night breeze, they continued their exploration of the skies. Maja felt a sense of peace and contentment wash over her. Her worries melted away. She didn't know where this feeling came from, but she knew it was right. So, which star might that be? Asked Maja. She pointed to a bright, gorgeous blue-white star in the sky. Let me check. That's Vega, explained Adam. Vega? Never heard of it. Oh, it's a very common star. You can see it anywhere in the northern hemisphere. It's part of the constellation Lyra. If you have trouble remembering that, think of the musical instrument, the lyre. You can't tell me you knew that by heart, Adam. Did you look in the book? Asked Maja. You bathed for quite a while. I found this book and figured I'd do my research, he responded. Okay, fine. So what else do you know about that star? Well, the ancient Greeks saw Vega as a symbol of hope. It represents the Greek goddess Aphrodite, who brought joy and happiness to everyone she met. Some historians think that the name Vega comes from the word vai, meaning meadow or pasture. When people felt despair, they would gaze at the star Vega to regain hope and to pray for better days. Wow, it's a pretty good story, murmured Maja, flipping through the book. Wait, doesn't say that anywhere here. At least that's what Dad told me, said Adam. He did? Yeah. If you remember, you were on a trip with your Girl Scouts. It was the summer where I was grounded indefinitely for putting a frog in grumpy Mr. Kowalski's postbox. I remember that. Very cheeky of you. So, one evening, Dad felt sorry for me rotting in my room, and he camped with me in the back garden. We put up a tent, started a bonfire, had some biscuits with some tea, and then we stargazed, Adam said, nostalgia in his voice. Wait, did you really? How come I never got to hear this story? Asked Maja. Dad didn't want you to get jealous, Adam responded as he readjusted the telescope. I reckon it was the right decision. I probably would have been. Maja crossed her arms. Anyway, that memory is part of the reason why I wanted to come to this place. I see, Maja said softly with a gentle smile. The wind blew gently, carrying the scent of grass and trees. Maja closed her eyes. She breathed in deeply, savoring the fresh air. But it was getting late and chilly. Adam yawned, rubbed his eyes, and stretched. I'm knackered. I think we should go in now, he said. Maja nodded. They packed up their things and headed inside. Back in their room, the two siblings shortly discussed over who should claim the big bed and eventually settled on sharing it. As Maja laid down on the bed, she noticed the sound of birds chirping in the distance and the faint smell of flowers in the air. The lavender oil could still faintly be smelled. The curtains swayed gently in the soft breeze. She turned on her side and looked at Adam, who was sleeping beside her. His face was peaceful, free from any sign of stress. His presence calmed her mind and body. She felt safe and grateful for the memories that she had made today with her brother. Her eyes slowly drifted shut. Her mind finally quieted. Her body relaxed, and she fell asleep.